Now, today's forum, we will be discussing the topic, the day after Corona, what happens, what is happening, and what will happen. And to help us navigate this topic, allow me to introduce our host for this morning. He's a prominent figure in the global innovation ecosystem. He is considered a guru of startup accelerators, hubs, and ecosystems, having founded 4 teams since 2012 in both Israel and abroad. He serves as the advisory board member in various companies of technology startups, mainly in cybersecurity, IT, ad tech, retail, drones, homeland security, and others. He has an active involvement in hundreds of startups, accelerators, incubator, innovation hub, tech parks, and he is one of the major players in entrepreneur ecosystems from Israel to Eastern Europe and Asia. Tal Catran is a busy keynote speaker and TEDx speaker on tech startups, innovation, entrepreneurship, sharing his professional toolbox to mentor, motivate, and inspire entrepreneurs around the world. On Tal's last visit to Mexico on November 2009, he was invited to be a keynote speaker during the Forbes Industrial Summit to talk about cybersecurity, and that's where we met. Tal, thank you very much for joining us today. How are you?
I'm good, Shalom. Thank you for having me, Corey. Pedro, Adrian, thank you for having me. And hello, hola to everyone joining us.
Hello, everyone. Again, I remind you, the chat is open. Please ask us your questions in English and in Spanish. And to remind everyone a little bit about what the situation is, let's start a little bit with the panorama around the world. We know that right now, I checked this information last night, we have 4.89 million infected people. We still positive numbers, we have 1.69 million that have recovered, and sadly, 323,000 deaths. Mexico, on the other hand, we have 54,346 confirmed cases. 37,000 of them have been recuperating, and as of last night, we have close to 6,000 deaths, unfortunately. The International Monetary Fund is predicting a dip in the world economy, a reduction of 3%. And in Mexico, some of the financial indicators that we should be looking out for, of course, some of the hardest hit industries, as we can expect to be, will be the restaurant business, the hotel business, and pretty much all of the amenities related to tourism. We have seen a great global reduction as well in Mexico of flights. The Mexican peso has also suffered, being at an all-time peak of 25 pesos at some point in April, although this is speculated to be only a cause of panic as people try to buy more US dollars to feel more safe around the situation. Experts from the Bank of Mexico and other financial institutions expect this to be regulated at some point during the next 3 to 6 months, be it in a form of a reduction or at least there's no more influx in it. Additionally, experts also on the bright side are seeing as credits get a little bit cheaper, they're advising us to make that this would be the right time for companies to refinance their debts and maybe even start a couple of new projects like we'll be discussing today. So Tal, we don't want to waste any more time, so let's jump right into it. This is called the day after Corona. And I know that Israel just experienced their first day after Corona. What happens then? What can we expect? How is Israel doing?
Okay, let's go. I would like at some point to stop for a second and have ourselves a group photo, if it is okay, but then we will have to open our cameras. So you take charge about this, Pedro, and decide when. Again, I'm happy to be here, excited to be here, and thank you for the amazing introduction. It's so nice to hear that, you know, you hear so many things about yourself, you even forgot. So yes, the day after actually has arrived to Israel, and you can imagine that the big force behind it is economy. People just had enough. We cannot bear anymore staying at home, and when everything is closed and you don't work, you don't do business, this is already unbearable. I would say that we are now speedingly opening the country. Everything is almost open. we're a bit afraid, like everyone, from the second wave. But you know, things can change immediately within a split of a second. You know, just like someone will, you know, speak on TV and say, hey, Corona is only on TV, and that will be the end of Corona, meaning we can fly again, we can go to restaurant again. But so far, yes, it's a pandemic, and it got us all a bit scared, you know, and afraid of, like, we don't know what will happen tomorrow. Why? We have not yet, as a humanity, encountered such an event that caught us by surprise. We were not ready for what happened. But as we see, Israel and other countries slowly now are coming back to normal, which is exactly the reason that we need to talk. Think about all the technologies that have already been invented during Corona time. Think about expedited processes that usually would take months, if not years, all of a sudden done within days or weeks. All this can disappear within, just like this, within, like a magic. Social distancing will probably change. Right now, we're supposed to keep it, but we people are a social animal. We need the touch, we need the hug. Probably we will go back to usual just because Corona was in our life for a few months. Hopefully soon it will be also over for Mexico. Corona will be behind you. But for now, we still need to keep it. So saying briefly, it caught us by surprise. It doesn't have the clear rules, what we need to do. We are looking, you know, trial and error. We see others and we think maybe it will work for us. We're all afraid from second wave. We are not sure what will happen with second wave. Might happen. We saw already some countries suffering from second wave. We did not get it yet here in Israel. My first advice would be, listen to your government, listen to your authorities, listen to your health ministry, and follow the instructions. Stay at home. Don't come in touch when you don't have to. This is for sure part of what really helped us, Israel, as nation, to put Corona behind us within, I would say, 2.5 months. Correct.
And also, Tal, you have mentioned several times in our conversations to prepare for this, that Israel has always pretty much been a country that is very quick to recuperate. Any general idea, or is there something in Israel that you do that maybe Mexicans can apply to jump back to on the saddle?
First of all, let's see it how it is. I mean, Mexico is 120 million, Israel is 9. We are like a small neighborhood somewhere in Mexico. So numbers has, of course, a big effect. Think that Israel has only one way in, meaning we have only one international airport. Once this international airport is shut, that's it. No one's coming in or coming out. This is how we seal the border. So this is very different. Population is quite young in Israel. So this also, because we see the numbers. We see in Israel, out of the, I would say currently, over 16,000 infected. We have less than 300, actually 278 dead. As you mentioned, Mexico currently has over 54,000 people infected and over 5,500 dead. And you see the numbers. Generally, we're, I think, in the same neighborhood. Second is that we have a very good health system, although our health system, like others, were caught by surprise and shown not to be ready. I'm not saying they were caught by surprise because they didn't yell. They yelled and are yelling that there is not enough resources. This is like the same situation, again, all over the world. Now, we already know. We know that this will change for sure. No nation will leave it as it is right now. Last, I would say, is kind of culture. Israelis are maybe tough. We don't take orders from no one. I'm actually very surprised that our government managed to keep us at bay, keep us at home under lockdown for 2.5 months. It's pretty amazing. But just to show you that last Saturday, people went to the sea, although the shores, the beaches were open just now, just today, but people couldn't wait anymore. So, and the government understand this. I mean, you know, they understand they cannot deal with it, so they went along. But all in all, if you follow the instructions and you keep at bay and you will bounce back. You will bounce back because there is no other way. We need to go back to normality, but a little bit different, and we will discuss it.
Fortunately, we started receiving some questions from an audience. Thank you very much. We remind you in a moment, we'll post back the link so that it doesn't get lost in the chat for you to ask your questions, and also tell us a little bit about how you're feeling. So far, the people who have answered, they say that their biggest concern during this pandemic is that they have a lack of clients for their businesses. I'm gonna go ahead and read you the first questions that we have here. People are asking, how can I innovate in my leadership to emerge stronger from this crisis?
Mm-hmm. It's a very good question, actually, and I think all of us are contemplating on the same thing. First of all, the fact that you realize that the day after is almost here is the first step that you need to take. Why? Is because statistically we see that maybe 30-40% are looking towards the day tomorrow, day after. Well, most of people are still suffering and dwelling on the today. And the today is difficult. We are quarantined. We cannot go to work. We cannot open the business. Customers are saying bye-bye. But realize this. The one thing that Corona, as an example, did for the entire community, it did a kind of a reboot. It put us all in the same spot, meaning it doesn't matter, right, if Corey can fly first class or he has a private jet and I can only walk. He cannot fly, I cannot fly. It doesn't matter if Corey has, let's say, a Ferrari and I have a Lada. It doesn't matter because you can't leave home. So it doesn't really matter if you're rich or poor. Corona, for the first time, put us all in the same situation. It's the equalizer of humanity. Now we will see who will get ready for the moment that the doors open and you sprint out. And this is what you need to work on. You need to, I would not say invent yourself, but for sure be agile. This is not the time to stay rugged and say, well, you know, this is who I am. This is my business. I know to do only this. That is not relevant anymore. You need to do other things. One of them, if you have customers, keep in touch. We see that one of the major things that happened to the digital world, it has flown ahead light years ahead, meaning you need to be on the digital side. You need to be there. You don't need to invent an app. You have enough apps around you. You have enough software around you. You just need to adopt. If your business up until now was only physical, well, now it goes virtual. There's no way out of it. If it was only on premises, we say, now it's cloud. You cannot turn your face away from it. We see that in education. We see it in telemedicine. Is that now we get treated, scanned and all from a distance. We see that we do remote education. We need to study from home. It is not easy. One of the things that we do see is how not ready we are, how the education system is not ready. So first of all, be more creative. And for that, you would need help of experts, of people that are on this niche of, let's say, digital marketing, and consult. By the way, if those people as consultants used to be very expensive for you, now they're only looking for work like you look for work, okay? Get this to your head, meaning now everyone needs to get $1 into his pocket, a peso into his pocket. It doesn't matter who you are, because things have changed. If you show your clients that you understand, because let's realize something. Selling right now, whatever you sell is very difficult. It's very difficult. If you sell, let's say, to another business, like you are a business to business, the other business is in hysteria. I mean, themselves, they say, listen, you want me to spend more? I need to cut expenses. I can listen to you. I'm not buying something new. I'm sorry. If you go to people, the people say, hey, we're out of work. We're unemployed. We need to put we say, you save a good buck for a black day. They need to save the money. So selling is very difficult. Okay? So what you're left with is marketing. You need to keep yourself in the face of your customers. They need to see and know that you're doing okay, that you are waiting for them, that you are willing to service them in a different way. For instance, you saw all the restaurants are shut, but in Israel from the beginning, the restaurants were allowed to do takeaway. Why? Immediately, once the restaurant got closed, the chefs, the owners of the restaurant said, hey, what about takeaway? And immediately what you saw is you saw more takeaway apps. You saw more takeaway people on scooters. You saw more restaurant opening just to prepare the takeaway with all the restrictions, because people were not allowed to come physically to the restaurant and take the food. Only carriers are allowed to do that. Now it changed now because we opened the restaurants already. But before, and I'm talking 2 weeks back, not a century ago, this was the way it was done. So you understand that in a way you, like, I don't know, invent yourself new. No, you become more aware of the restrictions, and you become also creative to think about how can you still stay head above water, meaning how can you still give your service. Pedro?
Thank you, Tal. Moving on to thank you for your experience again. And again, I just want to encourage everyone who is in the ability to turn on their camera so we can take a couple of pictures and share you on our social networks. Maybe we can tag you if you want. Asking another very good question that we have in our survey. Someone's asking, how hard will the learning curve for the customers be? Like, we know that we need to do business and we will comply with anything the government tells us as long as they let us be open. But how long is it going to take for the public to get used to washing their hands more often, maybe keeping some more distance at supermarkets and at other kind of businesses? How hard would this curve be?
I think that it will change for a bit, but it will not stay just because Corona, thank God, is here, is passing quite quickly. We see that already. We go back to bad habits. I mean, in Israel, we had to go out with masks, but Corona is still here and people already took off the mask just because now we have also 42 plus degrees. It's very hot. So to begin with, when we opened classrooms on Sunday, this Sunday we opened the classrooms, the regulation was kids in class need to put mask. Now because of the heat, instruction is to take off the mask. So you see, we realize that there are restrictions and there is what people can suffer or endure, you know, or follow. And this is why it is very dynamic. It has a rule. It changes according to reality. I would say, again, people are already quite accustomed to the new rules. And since it's short, it will come back to as it was, meaning we will go back to shaking hand. Enough with this joke with the elbows is enough. And just to say how I know, we see that a majority of dead people are old. Average in Israel is 82. Less than 10% of dead in Israel, less than 10, are under 60. Okay? That's the number. So most, like almost everyone, are old people. And we see it worldwide. This is the situation. So you don't need to explain much to people. They realize it themselves. If they want to take care of their health, they will do. But what will change is the fact that now we are all Zooming. Think, when was the last time you had a phone call? Now people want to talk to you? Go Zoom. Open your camera on WhatsApp. What's up with this? Come on. I mean, I'm talking to you guys and you are now in my living room. The noise that you hear is my dog and my kids. This is already this is part of business now. If my kid would come and sit on my lap, you will see her. She will go hi. You will smile, but it will look normal. Well, it wasn't normal 2 months ago. It was not normal for my mom to use Zoom. It was not normal. She had a phone. She do send, end. That's it. Now she knows how to use Zoom. Now she talks to the kids, to their grandkids on video. Everything is like looking. It's like we feel because of lockdown. It's like the feeling is we are secluded, meaning we are on a deserted island. It's just us. And in order to believe that you're alive, I need to see you all of a sudden. This will stay. Another fact, and please nod with your hands if I'm saying something that you feel also, working from home, oh my God, we work so hard. All of a sudden, we don't need to take the car, find parking, go in the elevator, prepare coffee, and then start work. All of a sudden, I'm stuck here in front of the computer, meeting after meeting after meeting. I'm sitting 2 meters from my kitchen. I don't visit the kitchen. How could that be? Oh my God, it's crazy. When was the last time you put makeup? When is the last, you know, it's a joke now, we have it on TV. It's all of a sudden you meet people and you say, wow, I didn't know you have like below your shoulders. I'm shocked that you have legs. This is the feeling. It's like, this is who we are. We are now small squares on someone's screen. This is who we are. Now, if this was to stay for 2 years, wow, big change. But 2-3 months is nothing. Digital is here to stay because we see that we can order, we can get. But what we do see is that not everything that we order, we get. Okay, we are accustomed of now consuming less. This has a catastrophic effect on economy. Just think, all of a sudden, the employers, when they will return to office, let me tell you, they have put you all at home. This is all over the world. Employees are at home right now, maybe working from home, but all of a sudden, it doesn't matter how many hours you work because no one is counting the hours. It counts the output, the what you do. So hours, no matter. They don't see the light in your room, right? They just see your face. And by the way, they don't see a side of the screen. So God knows where you are right now. Maybe it's a poster behind you. So what I'm saying, this change, adding to the fact that we work much harder, I can tell you from CEOs of big companies I'm in touch with, they say, come on, when we return after Corona, no way it's going to be 5 days in the office. It's maybe going to be 2 days or 3 days in the office, rest, work from home, because everything is fine. You work a lot from home, which means offices will now be smaller. We see a lot of co-working places shut down. Forget about WeWork for a second. Shut down. Guys, Airbnb is standing on the balance. Airbnb, they don't know what will be tomorrow. So think, now offices are going to be smaller. So all those constructors who build these huge towers, they are left with no tenants. All of a sudden, the restaurants down there where all the workers used to go for lunch, no more. No one is coming to office. No one is going to a restaurant. And it's a domino effect. It's like when there are no flights, people don't go abroad, people don't go to hotels, people don't go to restaurants, don't go to recreation parks, domino effect. If Ryanair, which is a European company, a low cost, forget about low cost. How can you give low cost if you fly half a plane? Meaning half of the number of passengers you can fly now. So how can you do low cost? Flights for the coming months, when they start, which will take Mexico, I think, maybe 3 months from now, maybe, I hope less. I hope less because I think Mexico, which came into Corona quite late, will realize what happens in the rest of the world and see that maybe it is okay to open and open faster. But low cost relies on the fact that they fly a lot with many passengers. Now there is no a lot, as there are no passengers, so no low cost. We're going to pay much more expensive, and probably in the beginning only businessmen will fly, the ones that needs to because they have work. But forget about who has the money to go to Cancun right now. Maybe you guys, it's close to you, but otherwise, who has the money to do that? So it's a big problem. And this domino effect affected Ryanair, who used to fly 2,500 flights a day, currently flies 20. That's it. And they will last just a few months. Booking.com, I would assume you know Booking.com. They show reduction of 90%. How long will they last? So the domino effect, I think, on the big economies will take long, long months. You know, I sit on several boards of startups, and we had some board meetings to think about what will happen. Guys, we are talking about sales maybe second or third quarter of 2021. 2020 is done. This is where we are, okay? And we are Israel, and we bounced back quite quickly. I don't know, any of you guys have startups maybe? I don't know if you come from high tech, if you have startups. Bad news. No. Good news is come to Israel, because Israeli startups during Corona raised over $900 million in funds during Corona. And maybe you heard of one of our unicorn is a company called Move that you use for public transportation, was acquired by Intel for 900, that's the number, 900 million, close to $1 billion. You know how the deal was signed? By Zoom. No meeting, no nothing. So yes, we can maybe teach you some things.
So I want to ask a couple of questions related to what you were talking right now. Carlos is asking us that, yes, a lot of people actually in the chat are agreeing with you, saying that this meetings will be digital now and they will only happen if they're very important. Thank you for your comments. Carlos is asking, what would social needs? We can very easily accommodate tech to digital platform, but what we're going to do with restaurants, with cafes, they're still somewhat essential, but how are we going to make them costly? I think that's the orientation. Also, a couple more questions for you to consider for this next round. Daniela is asking us about what businesses do you think are going to accelerate next year? Like after this initial first boom of Zoom, do you think other businesses are gonna open up? And my personal question, what kind of business do you think we should become? Should we become more like a unicorn like myself, or more like a camel business, one that can, maybe they do not have the giant profits at first, but they're always being able to withstand the weather and the tear?
Yeah, so thank you for the question. And I will say the following. I think it's the crowd, as we say, that will decide how tomorrow will look. I mean, if people decide they want to go to a restaurant and they will stand in line or outside, and the restaurant will see it has someone to service, probably something will happen unless the government says otherwise. And the reason the government is saying otherwise is still, as we say, there is a drop something that we're afraid that will infect people. But as you know right now, vaccine are being developed in the US as well as in Israel. We're coming to very good results. I am not betting in any way that the vaccine will be ready this year, but we know already that we have a vaccine in our hands, as well as here in Israel. Second, as you see, the way to screen, sort, test people for corona is improving by the hour, not by the day, by the hour. Israel is taking top-notch defense technology, turning it to be health-related. It is about radars that can detect from a distance. It's artificial nose that can be in a room after and in hours after an infected person was in the room and detect if he had corona. We have now bracelet watch already that can detect if you have corona. We have apps that know if you have been in close contact with someone who was infected. So technology for sure will enable us to go back to usual quite quick. Question is, how willing are you to be tracked by someone? Well, I know for many people, especially maybe in your region, they don't like the fact that they are tracked. In Israel, we take into consideration that asking or not asking, you're being tracked. And additional countries, I think, will act the same. That's on the greater good of the public, they will say. But what can you do? So I think that technology will give us a lot of tools quickly to deal with the fact that we want to go back to cinema. We want to go back to the restaurant. We must go back. It will happen very quickly. This is on a one thing. I'm sorry, I don't remember all the questions. So camel, yeah, no, stay unicorn. In the middle was another question.
Well, I think you've answered most of us. We were talking about, Daniela was asking about what other industries you think are going to flourish.
Good. Okay, I want to touch this because it has to do with your question as well. So right now, because of social distancing, you realize that robots now are building capability very quickly. So we see already robots replacing service staff in hotel, in hospitals. No need to speak to nurse. You can speak to a robot and the nurse will be virtually behind, or the doctor is behind. So there will not be any contamination. You will not need to come into contact. This is for sure. It's going to change. The health system, the telemedicine, the remote education will change. We see now that because we cannot move from place to place, but we need to order things, we see drones already flying in cities, bringing merchandise, products very quickly from site to site. This is already done here in Israel, done also in the US, but only in the beginning right now. Okay, so we see this also change. But for sure, robots will be used to disinfect, to speak, to be between us people, to help us. We see, as I said, a lot of technologies building up to detect. But again, we know Corona was here before, and Corona is here to stay, and we will for sure learn to live as these are neighbors in vicinity to Corona, will stay around us. So that's that.
About that still, we have a very interesting question from Betty Mora. Okay. She's asking us if you think that the world will turn even more globalized during this pandemic, or if they will revert to a more local, closed economy. And also another one about what you were just mentioning from Sami Canela. She's saying that their godson is going to have a Zoom birthday party. Happy birthday, by the way. How will this affect younger generations?
I like both questions. So I think again that the reality is the major factor here. Meaning we can bear what we can bear, but there are some restrictions and regulations that the public just cannot bear. So we will coming back to close contact. We will be shaking hands and hugging. Maybe we will ask questions before. Maybe there will be a symbol here showing green, go ahead, red, stay away. I don't know, maybe this will happen. Maybe again, my watch will alert and saying, hey, don't go close, he has Corona. Maybe this will happen. But this is, again, it's about technology. And until technology comes into our lives, well, we will be more cautious. We will ask before. It has an effect, let's say, on, let's say me. I used to fly every 2-3 weeks. I will be in another country. Now I'm here with the family and I'm very happy. Although all they see me right now doing is speaking on Zoom the day and night. Before that, they were sure my job was to check hotel rooms. Well, actually, I'm a keynote speaker in many conferences, but they say, hey, Dad goes from hotel to hotel. That's his job. No, now they see, and they see you guys as well. So I think in a way, this family cell is becoming stronger, although there is still remote distancing. I think the influence on kids, for me, kids, because we're speaking so much about the digital era, just now flying light years forward, the kids are very much like the startups. So startups right now, they say to you, if you're not a startupper, they say, welcome to our lives. It's because startup live in survival mode. Startup live in uncertainty, foggy the entire time. Nothing is sure, many risks. Well, this is Corona. So startups, for them, nothing really changed. Kids, my kids love Corona. They are on screens 24/7. Now they have good excuse. Hey, mom, remote education. Hey, mom, this. The one thing that doesn't change is the teacher looking for the unmute button. This, I don't know how to teach the teachers to do that. But everything else for kids is amazing. For them to do their work, the homework on the screen, to reach out to everyone. They know how to operate the video and the chatting and the TikTok and the schmickmock. They know everything. For them, it's like life as usual. But still coming in contact. This will not last for kids. Kids need to come to contact. And as I said, in Israel, it's already happening.
And asking another question related to that, a shout out to our friend Brianna Osorio. Thank you for being here with us today. She was on our show a couple of days ago. I want to ask on the name of all of us who have startups here. What are some things that are going to change in the startup world? Maybe how we get some money or the kind of investments people are willing to make. We were discussing this the other day at your other conference. I think it would be nice for you to share again.
Yeah, so if you have a startup, good, and hopefully you will make it. And I think you can. I'm not cynical right now. I think you can make it. But it's tough. It's tough. It's because, again, investors, angel investors, private investors, they are under the rocks. They will not talk to you right now because they're private people. And as private people, when there is uncertainty, they go and lock down themselves. They say, okay, for now, I'm not investing. And it makes sense. You can realize. Although you will find some investors saying, hey, now it's a great time to invest. Why? I'm the stronger one right now. Is employers say, hey, this is now a market of employers, you understand? Because the employer now gets to choose who he wants to bring back to the company. And by sure, he's going to reduce salaries. 15% easy. You want to come back to work? Reduce. You don't stay at home. No problem. Investors, I'm not saying they act the same, but for sure now would like to see that you're much more capable, still going through a crisis, that you have first adopters, preferably paying customers, that you know how to navigate in a storm, that you are capable to say, I have done my technology this way, but if I take 95% of what I have and add just a simple 5% and pivot, and I'm talking Corona now, I can do something about it. Because this is where Corona gives us a lot of opportunities, or to invent from scratch, or to take what we have now as business as well as technology and just adjust to Corona, to what Corona made us. For instance, lockdown, takeaway, remote everything, cyber is building up. Why? Because all of a sudden employees work from home, which is a heaven for hackers. And we all use VPN, but the VPN has limitation, bandwidth, because VPN was designed for 10 or 20% of workers to use it, not 100% from home. This has a lot of difficulties. And by the way, also simple things like routine. All of a sudden, we don't need to wake up at 8 in the morning or 7 in the morning because we don't have anywhere to go by the kitchen or living room. Guys, get yourself into a routine. So if you're a quick startup, you say, hey, maybe, look at an Israeli startup called Monday. And Monday helps you with those daily tasks. Monday is the name. And it was part of the success is now during Corona. And when you reach out to your investors, to your market, well, probably, as I said, customers are not receptive to listen. They will not listen to you right now. Investors are very difficult. You still have VCs. I don't know if you use venture capitals or how willing venture capitals are to talk to you. It's about your maturity of your startup. But some venture capital raised money before Corona. So they have money to invest. This is how I told you. $900 million came to Israeli startups. by those venture capitals. Okay, so yes, there is a way to find the money. Yes, there are some customers, really not too many. Don't feel bad if you don't succeed to reach to customers. It's worldwide. It's like that. But which means that you maybe need to look more into your own country. Solve problems which are near to your office, near to your home. Forget about overseas right now. Forget about USA. They are not receptive. They are not picking up the phone. If they are picking up the phone, they want you to tell them how they reduce the expenses, not to grow them up. And what you want is to take their money. You want them to buy from you. They will not listen unless you have some vaccine for Corona. Maybe then they will listen. But none of us have right now. Even science doesn't have it yet. Okay? So you need to realize this. When you call a customer and you know already that he is like under such duress to start and say, I want to buy from me, buy enough. Say, listen, I understand the hysteria because I live it. I'm also under hysteria. But let's communicate. Maybe something small, maybe just stay in touch, but I will call you in a month. You know, I care about you, I think about you. And he will tell you, I think about you as well. Come personal, become personal. Also with your current job, pick up the phone, call your employer. How can I help? What can I do? Can I come up with something? Maybe I can do something else. Think with your employer. Don't say it's his problem, because it's your problem. It's everyone's problem. Change. Don't stay stuck to how you were until now. Pivot, change, twist. Go ahead, Pedro.
Thank you. Actually, on our survey, we have that most of the people who have replied are willing to pivot, almost 100% of them. So that's good news. We have another question. Speaking of vaccine, let's assume that the best case scenario happens and we have a readily available vaccine in 1.5 years and it's very effective and everything goes back. What lessons, this is a question directly from our survey, what lessons from this situation in the business perspective can we learn for the next one? Because we know there's going to be a next one. We don't know when, but it's going to happen.
So the economic term to what we are suffering right now is called Black Swan. And Black Swan describes a crisis that was never anticipated, meaning we did not plan for it, and it happened, and it had a very hard, very tough result. Okay, and we, as you say, it might happen again. By the way, you have seen probably several Hollywood movies that predicted something like this. But you know, I mean, so they predicted, but we didn't, and we didn't do anything about it. So what will you do different? For sure, I think in a way, some of the things that you will do different will have to do with how you keep your information, how you use or use your employees, or how you manage yourself. But to tell you right now that we can predict that if such a specific crisis comes back our way, happens to us with death, with lockdown, and with everything, I don't think we can prepare much just for the health system and maybe education system. This is where it will be. And I'm quite sure that some of the technologies that were invented specifically from Corona will be put back in the closet until the next time. Not everything we will continue using, and not everything is relevant for the normal times. The question is, how long will it take to get to the normal? Maybe. Number two is, how much of the normal will still be like the situation we are here facing right now? How long it will continue on, because it changed. It changed forever. It will forever be different. So the one thing I think you should take into consideration is that now that you are more aware, now that you have also heard me say to you that this is your time not to dwell and not to sit by yourself, maybe this amazing group, Corey, Pedro, Adrian, under you guys, doesn't need to meet this time and disappear. Maybe this amazing bunch of people, this forum, can stay after, can take another meeting and say, you know what? How many people are here? 40.
43.
Just think.
40 we count us.
Okay, just think about the brain power in the team here right now. You have different age, different location, geographic, okay? Different belief, different knowledge, different experience, different everything. If one of you start using the chat and say, maybe you did, I'm not looking at the chat. Hey guys, by the way, I give service to so-and-so. Would you need my help right now? And someone else reads it and say, you know what, I don't need it, but my good friend does need it, and put you in contact. Already you have your first business. And we are now already, how long? An hour into this? This is a 1 hour. You could have done business until now. Now I'm telling you, start doing business. Introduce yourself, write a few words, put a link, a LinkedIn, your web. This is why we have the chat. This is how you think different. You say, hey, great opportunity. See how many of you put their name. Look how many of you also added their phone number. How many of you in their back put the name of the company, maybe the name of the service. This is free publicity. And this is gonna be broadcasted all over the world. And you're still sitting here and looking at me and thinking I'm smart. I'm not. I'm like you. I'm just more experienced. I understand that each and every second that I get this exposure, I need to sell something. I need to give something in order to receive something. I need to be active. I need to invent myself. I need to be very much aware of the opportunity, Adrian, Pedro, that you have gave these people to come here and share thoughts and share opportunity and share information about themselves. This is all up to you. I hope this will not be to waste. It will not go away. And I'm asking, are you already using the chat to do that? Hey, I'm here, I'm there, I need, you need.
Yeah, actually, we have our first person who was very specific. Shout out to Adrian Brolin, who's here. He's telling us, we have a social business platform in 8 countries, including Mexico, Central and Latin America. And we are focusing in local economies all around important cities. He's asking, do you think big events will still be important to launch their platform? They are saying that right now they are only on Facebook groups, or should they focus on online launching events like you're mentioning?
I think that online will become now much stronger. By the way, you hear it from quite a lot of people. The ones who do feel they work a lot from home, like me, will still tell you that the reach through the webinars have increased tremendously. Meaning I now can reach anyone I want, and there is no excuse. Sorry, I'm somewhere. You're not somewhere. You're in a living room watching TV. Enough. Get on the Zoom. I want to talk to you. Everyone is very reachable. We can touch almost everyone through the screen. And I think that we see that is really saving a lot of wasted time that happened until now. Still, there are some industries, there are some, let's say, occasions where the personnel will stick, I'm saying this for the startups, to conduct a demo day, meaning, you know, the end event for startups to speak to investors. When you want to speak to investors, maybe for the first time or second time, the mingling, schmingling is no longer. You cannot really mingle here. You know, you look at people, you see what you see, but you don't get to see the height. You don't see how much he eats from the catering. You don't see all that. So you know, you have a different perspective of people. As I said, you almost don't realize that they have legs. This, in some cases, yeah, you don't have legs, I know. But in some cases, yes, we must get to this personal one-on-one. And by the way, we cannot go on vacation and feel like we're in a hotel, but you did ask me what technologies will grow. Virtual reality is now growing very much. Why? It's because people will tell you, enough, I'm already 2.5 months stuck at home. I want to put this Oculus Rift and find myself in the Bahamas right now, surrounded by God knows what. I want to see soccer. I want to see football. I want to be there. Well, you cannot. Sorry. Put your Oculus and you are. So virtual reality is going to grow. If virtual reality is going to advance, we are not leaving home anymore. That's it. We are avatars. This is how it's going to be. So I'm quite sure it will grow. I don't believe, since Corona is short, that it will stick too much It will start like this, but very quickly I already see many conferences that were scheduled for May, June, July, pushed to November, but they are staying physical, frontal. They're not saying we move it to November and we will stay with virtual. No, people want to go to the back to the physical. For sure, people want to leave home. So I'm quite definite it will go there, but with a lot of technology. Maybe before, maybe after, maybe during.
I want to get some quick shout outs too. Some people, thank you very much for sharing what they're doing, for taking Tal's advice. One of them is a Mexican proposal. You might like what they're doing, Tal. It's called Cuídame el Changarro. A changarro is like, in Mexico, we call our place of business, wherever everyone works is el changarro. So it's this initiative that is focused to help companies and businessmen, businesswomen, donate some money to small businesses so that they can be like, a changarro is typically what we call a tiendita, a very small store. They're family owned. We also have a couple more people sharing what they're doing. We have Salva MH. He says he's an expert in model innovations, his shift in digital sales and funnel. Brianna Osorio from Signami. She has this fascinating company that helps you can install a plugin on your computer that turns everything you have in text into sign language. We promote violence-free spaces from Jenny Alvarez, workshops focused on eliminating all types of violence, especially against women. You can see her contact there. And I think to sum up everything that we've been talking today, I would just like to give the floor to you, unless anyone wants to share further questions. Please, the chat's still open. Any final thoughts you'd like to share with us, Tal?
First of all, I want to say that I'm very much encouraged to see that you took on my advice and you're doing it immediately. It says that you do realize the impact of doing, as we say, the sense of urgency. This is the time. And I think that what I try to do, I haven't done it in other Zooms. I want to be honest on this. It just came to me. Okay, from now on, I will continue. You see the smiling guy, Rob Shan, is from Azerbaijan originally, currently in Turkey, and he's handling all my digital marketing. Rob Shan, say wave hi to everyone. And this guy knows to tell you exactly from Zoom to Zoom, hi. He knows from Zoom to tell you how I invent myself. So I'm very happy about this thought that really during Zoom, it's a great time to, yes, listen to the person speaking, but also promote yourself in a way. I hope all of you will take the advice and also do something with your background. Use the word where you put your name, maybe add a number, maybe add something. I mean, the chat is open. No one is really controlling what you do there, you know? So what? Invite people, be welcoming. So my tip to you, be innovative, be creative. This is not a time for shy people. Don't think about failure. Failure is a major milestone for success. You know, in Israel, when you reach out to investors, it will tell you, have you failed before? And you feel all good about yourself. Say, hey, I haven't failed. You know what the answer will be? Go fail with someone else and come back to me. Because statistically, you're going to waste my money and fail with me. Go fail somewhere else. Guys, girls, men, you need to fail. It's okay to fail. Now, I know in some countries, they mark you as loser. Don't care. Learn from your mistakes. It's okay, but you need to do it in a kind of a helping environment, supportive environment. So again, stay optimistic. Keep on smiling. People really react good to people who smile. By the way, people also react good to people who ask for help. Don't ask for money. Ask for help. They will help. Doesn't matter how hard it is. Sometimes we like someone to ask for help when we feel down. Is because then we stop thinking about that, and we think about good, and people really love to see happy people. So stay optimistic, stay creative, be proactive. Don't wait for luck to fall into your lap. It doesn't really happen. I'm saying, aside from you joining us on Zoom, which is a good luck for all of you. I mean, you did not plan this Zoom to be so good, and it is. And it is because of you. It's because you listen, and you implement immediately. And this is something that you need to keep on doing. I would write into Zoom, thank you so much. We want to stay in touch. This group wants to keep in touch to exchange the opportunity with the knowledge, with the opportunity, with the networking. And by now you see there are some of you that operate worldwide in other countries. This is what you want to do. Stay optimistic, stay proactive, do, think, create. Don't be shy. Don't be afraid of failure. Don't be afraid. It doesn't really hurt you. The worst it can happen, you will hear a no. That's it. You know, when we are kids, we ask, what do you want to be when you will grow up? Well, guys, newsflash, you all grown up. You need to know what you need to do. And you need to do it today. This is my calling to you.
Thank you so much, Tal. I, for one, know that without this current situation, we would not be fortunate to have you here because you would probably be traveling, you would be on a flight, on a hotel room.
I will be coming to Mexico. Maybe I will be in Querétaro.
Definitely, we'll be inviting you. I just want to read the final comments from people that they write. We have JJ Alcazar. Alcazar, yeah. He's provide e-tools and eyeglasses. Roshad is giving us her sad. And well, before we go, just telling you a little bit about me, your host for today. I host Unicornio Pitch. We've been posting our social networks all throughout all of this event. We are a show that interviews entrepreneurs like Tal Catran, like Brianna Sorio, who's down here. Tal, your interview will be ready in a couple of days. You can see it next week. Next week, Adrian? Yeah, you can see it next week on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, on pretty much every platform. And before we go, again, just for one moment, please let us take a picture with all of you here. Just turn on your cameras and we're going to take a picture for our networks, for Tal. Everyone here, stay in touch. You can write to each other via our social networks. You can check your emails. We will be sending some information to you. This conference was recorded. We'll be sending it to you to the emails you provided us when you signed up. And when you're ready, Tal, you give us the count.
Yeah. So most of you have opened. Okay. 3. Smile. Come closer to the screen, to the camera. 3, 2, 1. Just happy smiles. Perfecto. Thank you, Corey.
Thank you, everyone.
Pedro. Thank you, Adrian. Rovshan, thank you all. My pleasure to be here.
It was our pleasure. Thank you very much again. And hopefully we'll see everyone soon with Tal or with someone else. Who knows? And I'm going to do the voice while everyone logs off. Gracias por estar con nosotros aquí. Los esperamos la próxima semana en Unicornio Pitch.